so many new pieces to this IU football team.
To me, that's going to set the tone on how you get ready for games on Saturday in the fall.
I would put that Indiana room up against anybody else in the conference, and that's something that we typically don't even come close to saying.
If you want to get total sickos committee about it, there's a position battle at long snapper too.
This is the Hoosier Huddle Podcast, part of the College Huddle Podcast Network.
Man, what a week so far. We got National Signing Day today. Everything is up on the site, in the forums, and then we have individual breakdowns on offense and defense, and then later this afternoon we'll have top impact players in this class. And we haven't even started talking about the games, TJ. This week, if you haven't heard, it's number 1 Ohio State against number 2 Indiana in the Big Ten title game. You would expect College Game Day to be there, but no, they're going to Atlanta for Georgia, Alabama round 2. For all you playoff detractors and stay at 4 people, this is the reason. Never have I seen a 1 versus 2 matchup be less hyped than this one. And it deserves the hype because these are the 2 best teams in college football. So without further ado, TJ, welcome into the show. How are you doing?
Very excited. It might be nationally a bit underhyped, and people are paying more attention to, what Lane Kiffin is eating for lunch in Baton Rouge, or whether or not Pat Kraft has any idea what he is doing as an athletic director. The answer appears to be no. But for our purposes, we're excited, and we are paying full attention to this game on Saturday. I think it's fair to say that this means quite a bit more to Indiana fans than it does Ohio State fans. I can't say the same for the players. We have no idea. But the fan bases, I think, this game means a lot more to Indiana fans than it does Ohio State fans. I think the Buckeyes are solely focused on, do we win a national title? Yes or no? Do we beat Michigan? Yes or no? They know the answer to the Michigan question is yes. So the only thing left for them to accomplish is a national title. I think winning a Big Ten championship and going to the Rose Bowl is a gigantic deal for Indiana fans and for IU football as a whole.
Yeah, I kind of look at it, I'll put it into baseball terms like I do a lot of things. Back when the Yankees were winning everything, it was the division title was always a step along the way to the World Series. You wanted to make the playoffs, you wanted to win the American League, and you wanted to win the World Series. And if you ended up winning the American League East, which back in those days you kind of had to make the playoffs, great. But it wasn't you weren't throwing a parade because of that. But for Indiana, the significance of, and I talked to Andy Graham about this on Saturday on Monday on my way back from Bloomington, and he brought up a good point. And I think people need to start calling it what it is. This is an unnecessary extra game, and that Indiana and Ohio State are co-champions of the Big Ten at 12-0 in the regular season. And this is kind of like the Big Ten tournament, except only 2 teams are invited. Nobody else is playing this week. It's not a regular season game. But, to put it into perspective, yeah, Indiana hasn't won a Big Ten title since 1967. They've won 2 overall. They haven't gone to a Rose Bowl since 1967. They haven't won a postseason game since 1991. So this doesn't count as a bowl win, or I don't think so on your list of postseason games. But the significance of it to defeat Ohio State, who has been arch nemesis number 1 in terms of just crushing IU the last 30 or so years, since 1988. To do it on the big stage on Fox, against with your guy Gus Johnson calling them the world famous Buckeyes,
Yeah.
would be a big deal. Now, are there other championship games that kind of have more intrigue because of playoff position? Sure. This game, I hate calling it meaningless, but I would say it's more unnecessary. It's these are clearly the two best teams in the Big Ten. They clearly deserve a bye in the first round of the playoffs. So, like, the stakes aren't as high. Like you said, for Ohio State, they want to win a national title. To me, it seems like for them, let's just play and get this out of the way and get
Yeah.
on with the postseason. For
Yeah.
Indiana, this is a huge deal. But you can't make the moment too big,
Right.
right? Your season's not done if you lose.
Right.
You'll have what should be a bye into either the Orange Bowl or the Cotton Bowl or Sugar Bowl or wherever, but I think it's going to be the Orange Bowl. And then you go from there. You should not fall below the 4 seed. And we'll see. Indiana capped off the regular season on a high note, just curb stomping Purdue again, and running the ball, and now you should get guys healthy. Unfortunately, nobody asked Kurt Signetti about injuries on Monday, but Drew Evans did dress against Purdue.
Right.
He didn't play.
Right.
They helped him out, and the offensive line's a little different with that. So let's set the scene for Saturday. And yeah, I know this is our football podcast, but you got to bring in basketball to just set the scene on Saturday, because they are playing number 6 Louisville down in Indianapolis at 2 or 2:15.
2. Yeah.
Yeah, 2, which means it tips off sometime before 2:30.
Right.
Great day for Indiana sports. You're down in Indianapolis. Kickoff of this game is at 8:17 p.m. on Fox, and then it's number 1 versus number 2, and it needs to be hyped up. So let's take a look at Ohio State in general. They're 12-0. Their their I guess most impressive win, you would say, is against Texas. But they rolled through the rest of their non-conference, which was not great competition, and then they rolled through the Big Ten. You thought maybe they'd get tested by Penn State. They weren't. You thought maybe they'd get tested at Michigan. They were for about a quarter, and then they ran more plays on a fourth quarter drive, 20, than Michigan did in the entire second half of that game. And it's kind of like they were on cruise control the rest of the year. It was, hey, let's flex our muscles, show that we're going to dominate this game, and then get out of Dodge. So how are you feeling about the Buckeyes?
I think they entered the season with 2 big questions, right? One, how's the quarterback situation going to play out? Because for a good portion of the offseason, whether or not it was going to be Devin Brown, Lincoln Kienholz, or Julian Sayin, who was going to win that job? Or were they going to go to the portal and grab somebody? Didn't know. Julian Sayin gets named late in the offseason, and obviously that has worked out incredibly well for them. The second question was replacing all of those starters on defense, but obviously plugging in, the next 5-star group, and losing Jim Knowles to Penn State and replacing him with Matt Patricia. How is that transition going to go? And that has gone, I think, better than even the most optimistic of Ohio State fans could have expected, and that's saying something. The defense has not given up more than 16 points in any game this season. They have won since that opener 14-7 over Texas. They have won every game by at least 18 points. You're right. They have rolled over everybody. They have not really been pushed to where they've had to play under any kind of stress or pressure in the fourth quarter of games. And it has felt for the better part of this season like they are pacing themselves, going through the motions, and I think really doing everything they can to peak during the college football playoff. Whether or not they have another gear, we don't know. They haven't needed it yet. I think that for them, everything starts attention-wise with the star power that they have at receiver.
Yep.
Jeremiah Smith, very possibly the best player, regardless of position in college football.
Yep.
Cardell Tate, a ridiculously good number 2 receiver, awesome deep threat, and good options beyond them. Former Purdue tight end Max Clare has had some good moments, and Bo Jackson, running back, was a question mark. It was one that there wasn't a ton of attention paid to because they'll figure it out. But Bo Jackson has developed very nicely and has turned into a really good running back for them. He's a good pass catcher. He showed that against Michigan. Runs the ball well. The offensive line has been really good. Julian Sayin basically wasn't touched by Michigan. So they've been really good at keeping Sayin clean. He's been as accurate as you can possibly be at quarterback. I mean, a completion percentage right there near 80%. Absurd for a full season. The defense itself, obviously elite. What I think you possibly look at as something that you could maybe have some hope if you're Indiana is Ohio State has not played a defense capable of the same level of disruption as what IU's defensive front can do. So if you can pressure Julian Sayin to some degree, does that rattle him a little bit, drop that completion percentage some, maybe you force him into an interception or two, and if so, set yourself up on a short field, maybe get a defensive touchdown. That would be remarkable. Something to kind of tilt the field against that Ohio State defense. That's sort of what you're looking at. I mean, you do have to sort of pick nits because Ohio State
Michigan did that in the first quarter, except they settled for 2 field goals. They get a stop and an interception, and they get down inside the 15-yard line, and they kick 2 short field goals, and it's 6-0 instead of either 10-0 or 14-0, and that goes a long way. It's like now you scored twice, but you're still like a touchdown beats you. And you put in all this effort at the beginning, and then just got steamrolled. But for IU, pressure is going to be paramount.
Yeah, and a quick stat that they have the second best sack percentage allowed in the country, and I believe Maryland actually finished the regular season at number 1 in that category, which is interesting. But 1.87% of dropbacks Julian Sayin was sacked on. So obviously really good. Jamie Jordan, our staff member of the Hoosier Reactionary, he made a really good point in his preview in our group chat. The best place to pressure Ohio State, not that there are any good places, but the place that teams have had the most success is right up the middle against this offensive line. So how does Bryant Haynes scheme against this offense is going to be fascinating to watch. Haynes, one of the best in the country, and Ohio State's offense with Ryan Day, Brian Hartline, and their brain trust. That's a really, really good matchup within the game. And Indiana did a nice job against Ohio State's offense last season. They were let down by mistakes on offense, mistakes on special teams. So I think you kind of feel quietly confident about Indiana's ability to at least test Ohio State's offensive line and put Julian Sayin into some uncomfortable positions. Now, he's really good. Their receivers are amazing. Maybe they're good enough to just say, okay, yeah, good job. You got pressure. We're just going to lob it up and make a play.
Yeah, Brian Hartline just got hired as the head coach in South Florida too. So we'll see if that plays. We've seen it in the past with IU's coordinators in these postseason games take head coaching jobs and kind of didn't perform well in their postseason games. We'll see if that carries over for Ohio State. But yeah, you have two all-universe receivers in Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. You have a all-universe defensive back in D'Angelo Pons as well. He's
Right.
not going to back down, but he can't cover two guys. And if he can cover two guys, he's going to be the number one pick in every NFL draft.
Yeah. Even better than we thought.
Yeah, so the secondary, we've seen the secondary give up busts this year on long plays and communication. Here's where you kind of feel, like you said, a little bit more confident. IU really played well in the first quarter at Ohio State last year. Then James Evans dropped a snap, and all of a sudden the wheels fall off, and before you know it, your middle eight is, instead of being 7-7, it's 21-7 Ohio State, and that place is buzzing and rocking, and you're kind of stuck in the student section side of the field for the entire third quarter. It's not going to be like that on Saturday. You're playing a neutral site game. It's not going to be 110,000 Buckeye fans. I expect 50-50. Some Ohio State people I've talked to said that IU will have the majority of the fans there.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Tickets are super duper expensive. So we'll see what the fan base is. So you're not going to have to deal with the crazy noise that you dealt with last year. Plus, Indiana's been in these moments. We talked to Signetti and some of the players this week. They kind of, the moment was too big for them last year, and they melted in the spotlight. This year, when they've played in these big moments, on the road at Kinnick, on the road at Oregon, on the road at Penn State, they've come through every time. So they're not going to get intimidated by the moment. They're not going to come in with an underdog mentality of, it's little old IU who's just happy to be here playing big bad Ohio State. It's hey, we're 12-0 too. We went 9-0, and we had arguably the best win of the season, not only in the Big Ten but in college football.
Yeah.
So we're not going to back down on that. However, you do need EJ Williams back. You do need Drew Evans back. But this is a game where, Indiana's got to play like they played at Oregon. Come out, play your game, show that you're aggressive, and not, kind of go into a shell that they have been when their offensive line is kind of getting beat up by really good defensive lines. But yeah, it's going to be a barn burner, I think. I think S&P Plus had it as 25-24 Ohio State, and
Yep.
I'm pretty sure that we're going to need to break out the heart medication in a lot of places if it's a 25-24 game. But let's look at the other side of the ball for Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, they have arguably the best player in college football on defense in Caleb Downs. And then you have, you've lost Jack Sawyer.
Or Arvell Reese. I mean, geez.
Yeah. I mean, you have a ton of dudes on defense who it's just unbelievable. They're giving up 7.8 points per game. Like, that's insane. They have given up less than 100 points on the season. 2.78 yards per carry. Their passing yards are like not they don't give up anything. Their passer rating given up is 101.98. Total offense yards per play is 3.7. It's going to be a slog for this Indiana offense, but what they need to do is protect Fernando Mendoza, get their feet underneath them, settle into the game, and be don't get sucked into being one dimensional. So run the ball, throw the ball, and it'd really help if Drew Evans and EJ Williams are healthy because it gives you two more weapons there, and make these defensive backs defend and legally defend. Now, refs won't throw a flag every time, but Davidson Igbinosun is a walking pass interference call, and just if they're going to mug you, okay, throw the ball throw it in an area where they're going to call pass interference. I expect Fernando Mendoza to be sharper than he was at Purdue, which he couldn't have been less sharp. So the only way up is there. But you're playing in a temperature-controlled environment. He's had an extra day to get ready for the game. So it's, can you block this defensive front with Arvell Reese and Caden Curry to give him enough time to, find his receivers, find Omar Cooper and Elijah Surratt and Charlie Becker or EJ Williams or your tight end. Just to me on offense, just play your game. That's just play your game. Don't go into a shell or anything. Play your game. You're not holding anything back. And you have plays to beat these guys. So I mean they have plays to beat you too, but it's you're not lucky to be here. You're here for a reason. You're 12-0.
Yeah, they're top 5 in basically every defensive category that matters. The areas you would look for Indiana to possibly try to find some success, I think running the ball is something that IU has done very well this season. And you look at really good rushing attacks that Ohio State has played, teams have at least had some sort of success. Not a whole lot, but Jordan Marshall from Michigan was able to break off a good run. He had a decent day. He was injured, shoulder, I believe, but the carries that he did have, he was effective. They have given up decent rushing days to good running teams. And so I think you'd be looking to run the ball effectively. And if you do that, does Ohio State then start to load the box a little bit, and then you have the ability to try to get one-on-one coverage and trust your receivers and your quarterback to beat their one-on-one coverage with their defensive backs? That's what you're going to hope for. I would also expect, a couple of, I don't know about trick plays, but gadget type plays that you try to scheme some chunk yardage. I don't know what that might look like. We have not seen much of Omar Cooper getting wide receiver sweeps in recent weeks. That's something that was effective early in the season. Do we see a little bit of that? You have to be careful trying to beat this Ohio State defense side to side because they have so much speed, and a play like that could get blown up for a loss of 6 or 7 yards, and then you're behind the chains, and that's a place you cannot survive repeatedly against Ohio State's defense. So just an incredibly well-coached, sound defense. They're not going to send pressure like crazy. That's not what they do. They're going to trust their individual players to win their individual matchups. And more times than not, they're able to do that. You mentioned Caden Curry, former Center Grove Trojan. He has gotten the opportunity for consistent playing time and has absolutely made the most of it.
Yep.
He leads the team in sacks, leads the team in tackles for loss. He's had an All-American type campaign. Really good for him. I know he's a guy that has waited his turn. There was a lot of speculation that he would transfer after this past season as he was not seeing the field, but he waited his turn, kept working, and he's made the most of his opportunity. It's a really good group. Sonny Styles is a great player that's not talked about much. Jermaine Matthews is that other corner. He's really good. And then you mentioned Caleb Downs. He cleans up any mistakes that they make. He cleans them up on the back end, and they use him in a lot of different ways. And really as a kind of a rover, if you will. He's just going to play all over the place. It's a really, really tough defense to find any areas of susceptibility. But if you nitpick and you go back and look, hey, what really good offenses have they played? And, Texas in week 1, that was not a good offense. That Texas offense was subpar for the majority of this season and certainly in week 1. They were nowhere near ready to challenge Ohio State's defense. Beyond that, you're looking at Washington is a competent offense. Damon Williams, very good player. That's a capable challenge. They 24-6, very comfortable win again. Illinois 34-16, but the Illini did have some success moving the ball. Rutgers, Penn State, right after James Franklin got let go, it's kind of weak looking at it. Now, that's not me attempting to say, hey, Paper Tigers here. They haven't actually played anybody. No, this defense would be right there with the country's best defenses, no matter whose schedule they played. They would be. But I do think that it's fair to point out they haven't exactly been tested by some laundry list of really good quarterbacks.
Yeah, and that kind of gives, if you're an IU fan, gives you a little bit of hope that, to me, they've been sitting kind of in neutral basically since the Penn State game. And can they, like you said, they haven't had to use that fifth gear. Can they find that fifth gear? How long will it take them to find their fifth gear? And can they kick it in if this game is close? Now, the edge I'll give IU here is that they've been in these close games and they've won them. So they have a little bit of confidence. Look, Ohio State won a lot of close games last year in the playoff, or they blew everybody out in the playoff. Yeah. But they know how to win games. It's not like you magically forget how to win games year after year. But IU has that confidence that if they're in a close game, they're gonna win, which is something they didn't have because they didn't play in any close games. They played in one against Michigan, and that's about it. Let's go key matchup here. I'll start. I'm gonna go the Indiana defensive line against Ohio State defensive line, and I will single out Tyree Tucker and Hosea Wheeler in the middle of that defense. Tyree Tucker he was just named, I think, second team All Big Ten. He's built like a fire hydrant. He is, he's a guy, if you see him walking down the street, goes, okay, he plays football, but you wouldn't expect him to be a starter or an All Big Ten player based on, how he's built. But he has been a load to block. He uses his leverage really well. And he's, if you want to call it a weakness or whatever, the softer spot, the less, strong spot of that offensive line is up the middle where he plays. If he can disrupt this offense up the middle, IU has a chance to stop this offense. not shut them out, but slow it down a little bit.
Yep, I think that makes a lot of sense. I will go with Indiana's rushing attack against Ohio State's run defense. I think Indiana has to run the ball effectively. Something above 4 yards a carry, I think, is needed for Indiana. That could mean some Fernando Mendoza runs. That could mean some wide receiver sweeps. That is definitely going to mean a lot of handoffs to Roman Hemby and Kalon Black. You saw what Ohio State did, which I think was kind of a rubbing it in their face. Just the method in which they sat on Michigan in the second half of that game.
They had a 20-play, 11-plus minute drive that ended in a field goal.
Yeah.
Like, that's like if you're playing a video game, and first of all, nobody plays 11-minute quarters unless you're a psychopath. But if you're sitting on the ball for 11 minutes in a video game, you're already a psychopath. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And I think it was so much gets made about Ohio State being soft and not able to be as physical as Michigan in that rivalry. And I think that drive, as well as the play in which it could have been 2nd and 15, Ryan Day declines the penalty, looks over at Michigan and says, all right, it's 3rd and 5. You can't get 5 yards. I know you can't. And he's right. They didn't. Like, those two things, I think, was Ryan Day just sending a message to his fans and that from the past that no, you can shut up about that now.
Yeah, well, I think that cost him the game last year. Is trying to tough it out against Michigan, but Michigan didn't have two first-round draft picks on the defensive line this year.
Right.
Let's move on.
I think it needs to be a running game that keeps Indiana on schedule on offense and helps set up those one-on-one matchups on the perimeter so you can get the ball to Surratt on the outside, get the ball to Cooper, maybe Charlie Becker, maybe E.J. Williams. But you want to get that one-on-one coverage, and the only way you're going to get that consistently is if you can run the ball well and force Ohio State to commit to defending it.
Yeah, I think first down, we'll get into IU will raise the victory flag and win the Big Ten title game if first they have to win first down, and they've done it well all year with that 6-7 yard out route to EJ Williams where you get into 2nd and 3, 3rd and 1, and then mash out a first down. I would also like to see Roman Hemby in the passing game a little bit more. We've said this all year. He could catch the ball, and it's kind of an extension of the run game, but get him out on a wheel route, get him out in a flat into space, get him the ball. You do have to attack this team vertically, but if you could get him out in space and he could, plant his foot and get upfield, you should be able to get some yards that way as well. And then it'll, again, make you defend that part of the field. But yeah, for me, Indiana, 1, you have to win first down. 2, you're going to say run the ball. And then 3, eliminate the dumb mistakes. And, they haven't done it all year. Don't allow them to creep back. No drop punt snaps. No kicking and punting it to the wrong side of the field, coverage-wise. False starts. If crowd noise is a factor, it shouldn't be. Call timeout, get your guys ready to go and all that stuff. But, avoid the killer mistake, which IU, outside of a couple interceptions, has. And then, finally is play your game. If you're going to go down swinging. Don't, throw your hands up, say, oh, we can't block them. We're just going to do what we can to get out of here. Go down swinging, because that's what IU fans want to see. And that's what I think the sour taste in your mouth left from last year was in those 2 games, especially Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You didn't play your game and you didn't go down swinging. You kind of ran and hide, which is so unlike Kirk Cignetti in the past and unlike Kirk Cignetti this year, for the most part, that, it's go play your game. So, questions to you. IU will raise the victory flag and win the Big Ten title game
If they can get consistent pressure on Julian Sayin on defense, and number two, which I'll switch to the other side of the ball, if they can run the ball consistently well. Again, I really think that IU running the ball well is necessary in order to set up those one-on-one chances. I think you like your opportunity to make plays in the passing game if it's single coverage against Surratt, if it's single coverage against Cooper, single coverage against Becker. I think you like your chances. But the only way you're going to get that consistently is if Ohio State has to respect and defend the run. And I think that that's going to be the primary focus for IU's offense, is staying on schedule with an effective running game. So that's what I'll go with. I think it could extend to, providing a good pocket for Fernando Mendoza, keeping him upright, keeping him without being under too much pressure. But I'll stick with just running the ball consistently, because I think that would lead to those other good things you want to see on offense.
Yeah, and running the ball also kind of shortens the game, which is what you want to do here. Is you do want to get out healthy. You do want to keep Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate off the field as much as possible.
I think both teams kind of might want to do that.
So it's going to be a 19-12. Hey, we got the ball at the 10-yard line. Let's punt on first down.
I kind of think both to shorten the game. I think there is a lot of respect. I don't know about the fan base, but I think there's a lot of respect from the Ohio State coaching staff towards how capable Indiana's offense is and how good IU's defense is. I do think that there's a lot of respect from Ohio State to Indiana. I can't say this for sure, but I do think that Ohio State and their coaching staff understands this is not a game that they can just roll the ball out and go through the motions and win.
Yep.
Now, they might not care all that much about the overall outcome of this game. They might not. It might be we are more focused on peaking in January 1st than now. That might be the case, but if Indiana wins this game, it will not be because Ohio State sleptwalked through it and did not think that IU had a chance. I don't think that that's going to be how it plays out.
Yeah, that's it would be a shame if it did play out that way, and it'd just go prove more to the point that these conference championship games are becoming a thing of the past, other than lining somebody's pocketbooks, money that we'll never see. But yeah, let's go best bets, TJ. Bet MGM today, right now, the spread is Ohio State -4.5 at -110. Indiana money line is +170. The over/under total is 48.5. Overs at -102. Under -118. What's your best bet here?
Not to spoil the prediction portion of things, but I think IU's going to win.
Ooh.
So, yeah, I would take the Indiana money line. But if I were actually putting significant money on this game, I'd go under 47.5. Given the pace at which I think this game is going to be played, and given the elite nature of both defenses, I think that almost 48 points, I think that's a lot in this game. So I will go under as the best bet. And then I'll kind of piggyback off of that. And if there's significant player prop action on the quarterbacks, given that Sayan and Mendoza are the top two Heisman contenders, if you think strongly that Ohio State is going to win this game, then I would put your bet in on Julian Sayin to win the Heisman Trophy. I don't think it necessarily should be this way, but I do think the winner of this game will have a significant leg up in the race for the Heisman Trophy. Again, that's not me saying that's what should be. I think that's what is. So if you feel strongly that Ohio State's going to win, I'd bet on Sayin before the game happens, because you can still get good value plus money with Julian Sayin right now. If you think Indiana's going to win and you feel really strongly about that, put your money on Mendoza.
Yeah, this definitely is the Heisman Trophy game as well. Yeah, my best bet would be the under. Ohio State's giving up under 10 points per game, or just over a touchdown per game. Indiana's right there with them as well in those stats. But I mean, they haven't played an offense. They have played an offense. It's pretty good. Oregon's offense is pretty good.
And it was at Oregon, and they had 20 points, and one of them was a defensive touchdown.
Yeah. I'm pretty safe with the under. I think any Kalon Black anytime touchdown bet is a pretty good one. He seems to find the end zone all the time, especially if IU's going to run the ball and things like that. I know some of our followers love the Kobe Martin anytime touchdown, and I would like to see Kobe Martin play more this week. He's a nice. I don't want to say he's a change of pace, but he runs hard. He has the extra burst, and he usually has fresh legs when he comes in.
Yep.
And he can get upfield against defense like this. So I wouldn't bet it because I don't think the staff puts him in big situations. But if there's a yardage total for Kobe Martin, I would hypothetically would take the over to steal the SEC's thing. Hypothetically, he'll get over whatever. Score predictions, TJ. I know you said Indiana's going to win. What score do you have?
Indiana 24, Ohio State 21. 24-21, Indiana wins, which would be a total of 45, so just under. I'm going to go Indiana takes it 24-21. How
are we winning this? Is this a Nico Radicic game-winning field goal? Is this we're holding on for dear life at the end?
Yes, this is Ohio State has the ball. Indiana punts. Ohio State gets the ball with, 90 seconds left and gets around midfield. Indiana forces a Hail Mary at the end. We all nearly faint and possibly go into cardiac arrest as we watch the ball drift towards Jeremiah Smith in the end zone, and it falls to the turf, incomplete, and Indiana goes to the Rose Bowl.
You heard it here first. That's how it's going to play out.
You did.
A 50-yard bomb gets incomplete. 24-21 as half of Hoosier Nation's on the floor gasping for air.
Yeah, and has to be revived to be told the outcome. Yeah.
Every time I pick IU in these big games, they lose. So I might do the Josh Pate style pick and pick against them. I do think Ohio State's.
You take Ohio State to win, Indiana to cover. That's the Josh Pate style. Yeah.
That's what I was going to do. 24-21 is a good score. I was going to say something like 20-17 Ohio State. I don't see a ton of points in this. Does IU have a real shot? Yes. If it comes down to if it's a one possession game late in the fourth quarter, do I have faith that IU could pull it out? Absolutely. They've done it 3 times so far this year. In some tough places to play as well. So they're not going to be intimidated. But to not put the kibosh on them, I'll pick Ohio State 20, Indiana 17.
I think we can both agree that
It'll probably be the best IU Ohio State game in a long time.
and we can both agree, I think, that Indiana is 12-0. That's a fantastic, memorable, celebration-worthy achievement.
It's historic.
Yes.
I mean, all those words kind of underplayed. It is an unbelievably historic season that, Sig said it after the Purdue game when he's 80 and sitting in his blue recliner that hasn't been thrown out yet, drinking a Coors Light. He will reflect on it. I think the fan base will reflect on it a little sooner than that.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, hey, remember when?
Yeah.
That's what this season is. It's a remember when season.
Right. And regardless of what happens against Ohio State on Saturday, there will still be more to play for after Saturday.
Yep.
If Indiana wins, amazing. Awesome. Big Ten champions. That will never go away. That will never change. You'll be 13-0. You'll be the number 1 seed in the college football playoff. And you start dreaming about a national championship. Absolutely.
If you haven't already.
If you lose to Ohio State, you're 12-1. You are probably, almost certainly, still getting a bye. As you said, probably
they
to the Orange Bowl.
Absolutely should get a bye.
Yes.
If it's a 20-17 game that comes down to the wire,
the 2 seed.
You should be the 2 seed. Will they be the 2 seed? Probably not, because you have an idiot running the CFP committee.
Yeah. But as you said, probably in the Orange Bowl. We think probably, but anyway, you'll be in the quarterfinal, and you will still have that dream of a national championship. Like, that will still all be on the table, all to play for. None of that will have changed after Saturday, win or lose. But I think we can both agree that Saturday represents a massive opportunity for Indiana football. It is not something to be scared of. It is not something to worry about. It is a massive opportunity for Indiana football to add another historical achievement to this season.
Yeah, it's I think people forget Indiana's still trying to build a football fan base.
Yes.
You need to embrace this. They put I think a Never Daunted sign on the JW Marriott out by Lucas Oil. So now the entire city of Indianapolis can see it. Yeah. You have Fan Fest on Friday and Saturday, where it's going to be all IU. We used to go down there and it'd be, oh my God, they have an IU jersey and helmet. This is so cool. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of more IU stuff and things like that. This is how you create fans. It's the very beginning of it of, oh, hey, it's exposure to people who haven't watched IU football yet. And look, the fan base has been great. They sold out the stadium the last 4 games of the season. Their 15-game home winning streak, things like that. But you can always build it more. There are a lot of people in Indianapolis who don't get into Indiana football to, hey, let's go check what this is. And, you get your 10-year-old kid wants to go down there. Let's go to Fan Fest. Oh, I need a Hoosier the Bison stuffed animal and stuff. Like, that's how you build the fan base. And then you have national TV. It's you and whoever else the 8 o'clock game is on on Saturday night. Now, more eyes will probably be locked in on it's Duke, Virginia. So, there's two screens for a reason. That game has a lot more, I want to say intrigue, but the stakes are a little bit higher in terms of playoff. And just absolute chaos will happen if Duke wins. So I would say the chaos factor in there is more March Madness like than IU. But you're going to have a ton of people watch this game. It is a giant advertisement for Indiana football. And guess what? Ohio State has come into Indiana and taken some of the top recruits in the state for years. This is your chance to say, we're not doing that anymore. You could come to Indiana and achieve the exact same things that you achieve at Ohio State.
Yep.
So it's a huge opportunity, and it needs to be embraced. And while I have my personal feelings over the necessity of this game, enjoy it. It's a ton of fun. Going to be a great weekend in Indianapolis. Wear 4 jackets if you need to, but the game is indoors. And either way, it's been a hell of a regular season, and it's going to setting up to be a hell of a postseason too. So, enjoy it, embrace it, and hopefully everybody survives through Saturday night into Sunday morning and all those things. So, anyway, that does it for today's podcast. TJ, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Enjoy the week, everybody. This is something we've been pointing to for a while since we knew that this day, Saturday, was a possibility, and it has come to fruition. So soak it in. Chances like this are not going to come around all that often, no matter how good Indiana football remains moving forward. So as we said, it's a really special opportunity. And it is the first of what we hope is a multi-chapter postseason book for Indiana.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us this season. Thanks for bearing with us through all the technical issues that this website has had since July 1st. And this is just, caps off a special football season. We have National Signing Day coverage on the website as well. Also discussions in the forums. We have basketball opens Big Ten play tonight. We'll be on with our game thread at 7:00, talking IU Minnesota. And then you have IU basketball Saturday afternoon. You have women's basketball playing Western Michigan tonight. You have volleyball in the NCAA tournament at home hosting Toledo on Thursday. It's a really good time to be an IU sports fan. And hopefully you come over to our site and share those experiences, share your thoughts, and all that stuff. So enjoy the weekend, be safe, be responsible, and embrace it.